All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. Today, I am joined by a very special friend of mine, a person who helped make my transition into New York City and life in New York City so much easier when he didn't have to. There's a very talented young man named Raul Castillo. He has a little movie out right now that's going to be very big, and we're here. We're gonna talk. We're gonna catch up, and yeah, Raul, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are
Yeah,
you?
good, good, good. I'm, living. I'm here in our hometown of McAllen, Texas, and I'm
Yeah,
waiting
man.
to see your face pop up on a water tower.
I could be the Freddie Fender of McAllen.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I didn't realize like you do have competition. I'm not even gonna put myself in the race because that's not even fair to y'all. I've already picked out my water tower. But Tanya's doing some big stuff.
Uh,
And there's a few others from McAllen doing some
yeah,
stuff
man.
too. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I was looking at the monitor a few weeks ago. On the monitor, something popped up, and a young lady from I think Mackay as well was in a show called Hellstrom on Hulu. She's one of the
Oh,
leads on.
wow.
Yeah, I'm like,
Wow.
I didn't even know you're like, and there's people you don't even realize.
That's right. Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
crazy, but we come
Yeah.
from a little, you know, a very talented region. I haven't.
Yeah.
It took me forever to appreciate it, but like we're starting to see it a lot more, and it's gonna
That's
get bigger
great.
and bigger. Yeah, man. So how you been? You have a movie out right now.
That's right. I'm good, man. I'm here. I'm home. I'm in New York now,
Yeah,
where you guys used to live,
yeah, man.
in
So,
Brooklyn, and I'm good. I'm here. I'm kind of homebound for now, and kind of trying to stay safe and stay COVID free.
yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. You try and stay warm. We got a blizzard last week. That was brutal.
Man,
Uh,
I thought about you. I have a horror website called Jorge's House of Horrors. I'm very original with my names. You know what I mean? It's just like at the spur of the moment, I get inspired. But Alexis is working, and she was talking about that cabin in the snow. And I had just
uh,
written about the Hinterkaifeck farm where there was the footprints in the snow and there was no footprints leaving. So don't let her listen to this until she's gone from the cabin because you don't want to scare her. But yes, you'll look it up later. You'll understand what I mean.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I miss the snow, dude.
I bet, dude. I bet.
I'm in shorts. It's we're getting a cool front. Everyone's excited. It's gonna be like 30 degrees in a
Is it
couple of
really?
days. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, man.
snap! Right on.
I
Cool.
don't know how true that's gonna. That's what Tim Smith says.
Yes, Tim Smith.
So what else have you been doing? So you're stuck in the apartment.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of homebound for now. I got to work a little bit in the fall, which was nice.
Yeah.
I was working last year right until till March 13th. I was in
Hmm.
New Orleans
I remember.
shooting, and, and we were supposed to finish that weekend, but that just so happened to be also when everything shut down.
Yeah.
So I got back. I got back. It was Saturday, March 14th. I got back to New York, and then was here in New York, the whole
Yeah.
time pretty much, and then got to work some in the fall, and it's cool, man. Now we yeah, have this the film out now, which is exciting. Have a couple things coming out this year, so it's neat to see the first of several projects kind of drop and
Yeah.
kind of make their way into the world.
That's got to be a great feeling, especially
Yeah,
when you've been working on these, or you worked on them even before last year,
yeah,
and just
yeah,
the postponing of the movies and all that has got to be nerve wracking because wondering if are they even going to come out because some movies we don't even
right,
know what's happening to them, and so that's good that they're actually coming out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think they like I mean, for the films that we got in the can before, the proverbial shit hit the fan, like
Mm-hmm.
those films that have their will see the see the light of day. I'm really lucky that but I know there was projects that I was there was a couple things that I was supposed to work on that were smaller budget independent films, and this really has put a real damper on things, and what I mean is it's put a damper on things for the independent film community. Like I
Yeah.
think the community has been really hit really hard because a lot of the bigger operations are sort of able to get up and running. But so yeah, man, it's been a trip to watch, to kind of experience it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That the independent film industry has taken a hit. I finally, after a while, got an offer, and I couldn't do it because of COVID restrictions. And it was just like,
Uh,
it was a script that I loved. It was shooting in Austin, but what happened was there was they need you to quarantine, or
yeah.
and then it was just like I didn't have anyone to stay with there, and the people I did, they're my cousin, passed away from COVID.
Oh
So
my
saying like,
God.
"Hey, can I stay here?" It's like, even though your son
Yeah.
passed
Sorry.
away, 2 weeks before, and so yeah, and that's that. I think before the pandemic, there was more of a budget, and you got to think about, it's not just the isolation or the quarantining, it's the added cost to the budgets because of COVID
Yeah. Yeah.
insurance
Yeah.
now, right? And that's going to
Yeah.
change a lot of things.
Yeah. What were they
Because
saying, like a fifth of the budget or something?
yeah, because you worked on something in the last couple of months, right? You said it was in November.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and, and what was that like? You're testing, and that's not cheap. How often were you
Um,
testing?
testing 3 times a week
Mm-hmm.
at the very least. Sometimes it was four, so depending on.
Yeah.
But it was I worked in I got to the thing that we were shooting in New Orleans. We were always supposed to do exteriors. It's a film called Night Teeth for Netflix. It's this vampire,
Mm-hmm.
really fun project that I'm excited about, and we sort of finished that out when we were in LA. So when things picked up in the fall,
Yeah.
and that was the first thing. Okay, and we were that was I always knew we were supposed to shoot those days. It was supposed to be end of March, beginning of April, and then of course, then they got pushed a couple weeks and
Yeah.
2 weeks into a month, and then it just pushed and pushed, and nothing was shooting. Obviously, I think
Mm-hmm.
the first things that I know that were starting to happen were in the summer, people going back overseas on projects that had shut down that were
Yeah.
like starting back up again in Germany and in England, but
Bulgaria.
um, what's that in
In
Bulgaria?
Bulgaria too. Yeah.
And then, but yeah, and LA. I shot a film in Boston, and then finished out in Philadelphia. So I got 3 different sets, and got to experience the whole, what the new, I guess, normal is, or at least
For the time being.
for the time being. Yeah, yeah, it's a
Well,
trip.
well, because you were shooting a movie and you went back to finish the movie. So
Hmm.
right. So Night Teeth was the movie you were shooting at
Yeah,
that Friday the 13th, the infamous Friday the 13th,
yeah.
and then and then you went back, and how was that different? Was everybody
Um,
like were everybody kind of
what's the? I was trying to describe it recently. What's the movie? Is it Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the house gets like covered in plastic, and like everyone's like in these suits, and they're like testing for like it's like the government scientists are in there and
is
like
it like
hazmat suits.
yeah,
Felt
ET?
like that.
Doesn't ET have that? Or am I
Or
making
maybe
that
it's
up?
maybe it's ET. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe
Yeah,
it's ET. Maybe it is ET. It felt a little bit like that, where like
Spielberg.
like everyone is behind.
The face
I
shields.
mean, yeah, it was all. I'm really like I feel lucky. It was all really well done.
Yeah.
Everyone was taken care of, and and safe, and there was a lot of protocol in place, and you know, it's broken down into zones, and now, so that, you know, in certain zones where actors are without, where, you know, PPE,
Yeah.
that everyone is, you know, extra covered, like visors and, you know, and face masks and, you know, all kinds of, you know, stuff.
Yeah.
I really feel for the directors,
Yeah.
because they're like, you know, trying to, you know, we express so much without saying anything.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that ability, when it's just you, you're just like a, it's almost like you're talking through like a, you know, like a pipe, but, you know, someone's listening in,
Hmm.
like you're hearing words, you're not getting any other information.
Yeah.
Uh, so I definitely felt directors, you know, sort of, they had to work around it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But it was, yeah, man, it was good. And I, you know, it was good to go back to work. I feel, you know, lucky, about that. And
Did,
I,
did you ever feel that you had built up this momentum? You know, like I remember the journey from, was it from looking and us shooting that cell tape in the apartment there, where you used
Mhm.
to. I mean, we can name it now, the street, because you're not there anymore, on 46th Street,
Yeah, when I was in
and
hospital.
yeah, your Hell's Kitchen, and I remember like we were shooting that, and then the ball just started rolling and you built up this momentum, and then COVID hits, because this is how I felt, where it's just like there's this momentum that we were riding. Like
Yeah,
mine was different. I'm the journeyman actor. Like the way I describe, like when people ask what kind of actor I am, I'm like, I'm not famous, I'm that guy who was in that thing. So after you talk to me, you'll be like, that guy was not on TV, but you're gonna watch, a marathon of Chicago PD. And my
yeah.
episode's gonna pop up and be like, oh my God, that's that guy. He wasn't a liar. He wasn't full of shit. And that's what I feel down here in the valley. People like will see me later on, where I'll get a message saying, hey, were you in like a Ray Donovan? And like for you,
Yeah.
you obviously had, a lot cooler stuff happening. And did you ever think during that point where it was Friday the 13th, and the 2 weeks became a month, and then the month became two, that you're like, oh man,
Oh,
what's gonna
you
happen
froze a
now?
little bit.
Did I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say, can you just finish that? What
Yeah.
was that?
So like it when once those 2 weeks, what I was saying is like those, like
Yeah,
from March 13th, say, it was just supposed to be 2 weeks. And then, our president says it's going to be wrapped up by Easter. And then it's, we're still fighting it today.
yeah.
Did any point, mainly during the summertime, did you feel like, I would say like around May or June, that you're like, oh no, this could be it, the end of the industry, and we're gonna be just shooting Zoom videos or movies like that movie Host on Shutter.
I shot it. I shot something on from my home, dude.
Yeah.
During the in August, I shot a project that really hasn't really been announced much, but it's Peter Hedges, who wrote What's Eating Gilbert Grape,
I love that movie.
and he's directed a bunch of great movies himself. We filmed this project. Yeah, it was. I got to workshop it
Hmm.
in May when it was in early stages. I got asked to do this like Zoom workshop, and then, a couple months passed, and I got the offer to do the film. It was all done remotely.
Hmm.
I had to do my own lights, do my own makeup, do my own costumes. It was
Well, lucky you had Alexis. She helps you with the
yeah,
costume.
right, seriously,
Yeah.
exactly.
Unless it's
No, I mean, there had a
Richie
no,
too.
there was a costume designer there. All the departments were, it was all like,
There.
it was all department heads. The only department head that I saw was a production designer who dropped off some stuff at my house to
Hmm.
kind of create the character's apartment, and no, to create one of the sets for the film. But it was a cool, yeah. It was a really really cool experience to get to shoot something from. But to answer your question, there was, I mean, I definitely, there was good days and there was bad days.
Hmm.
But and certainly, like, the situation was pretty bleak all around, and
Hmm.
um, there was also a trip being in New York City at the time, and seeing how the city was kind of hit, hard early on,
And then all the
um,
other stuff that was happening in New York too.
yeah, yeah,
It's just very uncertain.
yeah, and that was definitely, you know, there was, like I said, there was good days and bad days,
Yeah.
but I felt, I mean, I just felt lucky that I'd come off of pretty much like three back-to-back projects, um, big shoots, big, a lot of traveling, and to be honest, it was nice to just like chill at home for a while and kind of live simply, and just, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's one of the things I think a lot of people either they didn't take advantage of or they truly appreciated, because I spoke with Yul Vasquez in the seventh episode. So this was probably August, maybe September. And one of the things that we're talking about was that when this pandemic started, everyone was trying to be optimistic within that 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, that the original only 2 weeks. And the memes that were going around were like, remember Shakespeare wrote his best works, in isolation, and everyone was trying to be pumped up about it. And then the 2 weeks turned into whatever. And Yul was saying, he's like, so he says, like, why the fuck do you have to do anything? Like,
Yeah,
why can't you just, enjoy not doing anything? Like, what
yeah,
time in history are we allowed to just breathe?
for sure.
We're able to be with family. One of the things that I really appreciate was that I got to see so many milestones. Uh, I had to experience so many of my daughter's milestones. I
Mm,
saw her first steps. I heard her first words. I was there for her first birthday. I'm there every single day, and Rosa's here every single day. And a lot of parents aren't able to say that at any time. Like, just like, because everyone's at work,
well,
8 to 5, or traveling. And in if you're working, and you said right now you're on back-to-back movies where you traveled and you went abroad. I remember that. And then,
mm,
even if you're in the stateside, you weren't even in the city a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah,
You would go to LA, you would go, here and there. I think you went to Canada.
yeah,
And it's one of those moments where we got to be with family, like, uninterrupted, which is good and bad. I mean, but but that's one of the reasons why I'm glad we moved when we did, because we have a lot more space to
yeah, yeah,
isolate. But that's yeah, that's one of those things where I think a lot of people forget, or didn't take advantage of. And now the time has come, and like work is starting to open up, and you're gonna start hearing people say, what, I really wish I would
yeah,
have
yeah,
just
yeah.
slept in, that one day or 2 days, or watched more TV, even though we probably watched more TV than we needed to.
Oh my
I,
god.
I watched a lot of children's TV. That's
Yeah, of course.
life.
Yeah, do you get to watch movies anymore? Like ever?
Yeah. Um,
Cool.
Either I have to stay up later than everyone else, because the kinds of movies I like to watch, Rosa doesn't like to watch.
Uh,
And so I definitely have to stay up later, or I can watch a movie around on about, and she doesn't pay attention. She's just, if it's not Coco Melon or Super Simple songs, she doesn't care if the TV's on. She's just playing. So I have gotten away with watching some movies, but now she's getting to the point where um I have to watch her more,
right.
because she's climbing on chairs, and I saw her get up on the table. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and if you're watching or listening, I'm talking about my daughter, not my wife. Uh, but it's
Dad jokes
yeah,
already. With the dad
I'm getting there.
jokes.
But it's yeah, I do get to watch some, but not often. No,
Right, right.
I'm behind on so much.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch Little Fish, and it's just like, when can I? You
Yeah,
know,
watch it, man.
I'm planning on it. It's just, we have,
Wow.
this is the funniest thing, is like we have more TVs than we ever did. Like, we lived in New York for 8 years with one TV, and I saw more movies with that one TV.
Yeah,
Then
right.
we have almost a TV in every room here,
Yeah.
and I don't get to watch anything I want to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just, I was lucky. I even got to see a little bit of the Super Bowl, or I'll get to watch fights. The UFCs
Right,
whenever they're on. That's it.
right,
I have
right,
to get a permission slip and
right.
go through all the red tape.
Like the Whataburger cup, dude. I like
Dude, that's awesome, right? It's a Yeti.
that. I
I
saw
don't
you
have a.
posted that thing about the fries. Well, which are the
Yeah, man. What are your favorite fries? So
I,
let's talk about this because I'm gonna bring this up right now. You can take the conversation as you will.
uh-huh.
Um, but we have this is the thing. That's how it goes. We're talking about the best fries. We have In and Out, Shake Shack,
Nah,
McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Burger
nah.
King, Wendy's, Whataburger, White Castle, Five Guys, Popeyes, Checkers, and Chick-fil-A. So for me, automatically, I'm going to get rid of. I like Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. I'm not gonna lie, their fries are whack. I just
Uh-huh.
their waffle cut. Whoa, super spectacular. And White Castle, they're crinkle cut from what I see here. Get out of here. But I'm gonna have to go with Wendy's personally.
Wendy's.
They're good, and Five Guys is good. And the thing is, if we're going for like the amount of
Five guys are
fries,
good. Yeah,
Five Guys, and then the thing about Five Guys is they give you more fries than you even need.
yeah, but they're real fries too. Like they're real,
They're real, they have the potatoes in the lobby.
yeah. I'm gonna be
Like
controversial, but I when I saw Checkers pop up.
that's my choice.
Really? Oh
Yes, that's my
snap! Oh
choice.
snap!
Checkers is my number one choice here.
Checkers, dude.
And Checkers is close to Popeyes, but Popeyes isn't. It doesn't. It just. So in my apartment in Jersey, if I would have known this, I would have taken you to Checkers. Like there was a Checkers, like not
I used
that far,
to. I grew up near. I don't think it's a Checkers anymore, but there was a Checkers on
10th
South
Street
10th
on
on
Southtown.
10th.
So let me tell you something. There, that Checkers, it's right south of what was that was there, south of Nolana and 10th.
No, no,
No,
I'm talking about um below. It's on like Laurel and 10th. It's like
okay,
it's below like Pecan, I think.
yeah. I'm trying to think. I cruise that street every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
but
What was it?
south of Shipley's,
What was the Chinese restaurant, Chinese garden that was down there? Was that
Lotus Inn.
Lotus Inn?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
It was in front of. It was right in front of. I think.
Lotus Inn by
I think.
Lamar or OLS.
Yeah, by Lamar, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, the other one that's just right south of Nolana, that is not there anymore. It's like an empty vacant lot, and nothing has survived in that lot. Let me tell you why. We're gonna go there, Ro. We're going there. You know what stood there in 1978? It's a little nightclub called Bocasio's.
Ocasio. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know where
The
you're going with
devil
this.
danced there, dude. And so that place is cursed. It burned down, and then it became a Sherwin Williams, and then that place burned down, and then it was a Checkers, and then
Yeah,
Checkers
dude.
got demolished. It didn't burn down. I was corrected on YouTube, but yeah, Bocasio's. Fun
Dude,
fact for y'all.
taking it back, dude.
Yeah, well, when we have enough famous people in the valley or from McAllen, we can have like a little tour of all the interesting spots, and that could be one of them, Bocasio's. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's incredible.
And if y'all want to know what Bocasio's is, go to my YouTube channel, and there's a whole video about it on there. Yes, I did. I did a whole
Oh,
video.
hilarious. Oh, you do a deep dive or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize
Awesome.
like they have it. They have uh, they have it archived at Pan Am at UTRGV Library. They have the Bocasio's thing archived from the monitor. Small
Sure, dude.
town
From the
America.
monitor? No.
Yes,
Get out of here.
I'll send you that article.
What does the monitor have to say about the incident?
There's a guy who claims he was the DJ the night it happened, standing in the front
No.
page. Yeah, right in front of the empty lot.
Hilarious.
I'll send that to you. It's a true story. It's almost as good as in Oklahoma. They're trying to make they're trying to make Bigfoot season a thing.
Bigfoot season.
Yeah, they're trying to make it like Bigfoot hunting season a thing.
Jesus.
That was
Someone's gonna
actually
get shot. That's all I'm saying.
someone's going to get shot. Yeah,
Gonna get shot.
yeah.
Oh,
Don't you love it? It's middle America for you.
yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
then, what else of so you've had a pretty interesting journey. You went up to New York when?
2002, a year after 9/11.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
from Boston, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you went from Boston.
Spent a couple years in Austin,
Yeah.
and then I moved up to New York.
What were you doing in Austin?
Producing theater,
Yeah.
did my first short film as an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good experience. Um, and yeah, we were, doing like, I was sort of directionless after college,
Yeah.
and I, 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 I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I would be a playwright, and I always thought I would be a playwright. And then college kind of, I don't know, made me rethink it. I was sort of a little burned out by like um, just the system, I guess, a little like this disillusioned by it. So I
Yeah.
didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had some friends that were doing stuff in Austin, some guys from McAllen actually.
Yeah.
So we went down there. Yeah, we were producing theater. It was the first time I played a leading role.
Okay.
I and I kind of came up doing character roles.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I played more, especially in college. I played a lot of character roles. Caliban in The Tempest, and
Yeah.
Sir Toby Belch in Twelfth Night, and a lot of Waffles and Uncle Vanya, like the fun character, like and we were producing this play. I wanted to direct it. This play by Octavio Solis, uh, Santos and Santos,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fictitious play about a real incident.
Yeah.
Um, and a wonderful play. I love that play, and it's about these three lawyer brothers. And I brought the script to my buddies who were producing theater. My buddy Gabe Martinez and Mike Garcia, and
Mm-hmm.
we they were like, you should play the youngest brother who's just come back from like Harvard Law.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a lawyer, um, and it never occurred to me that I would play, like, I don't know why, I just didn't think that I was a leading type, uh, I ended up playing the part, and it was a good experience, and it gave me a lot of confidence, I should say,
Yeah.
as a storyteller,
Yeah.
and my range as a storyteller,
Yeah.
and what I could do, and then that compounded with, like I said, doing doing the short film. And I had a lot of friends that were in film school at the time at UT, and I got exposed to like a lot of great film, and really fell in love with film, and decided to move to New York.
Yeah.
uh, uh, and pursue it here. But yeah.
Because I mean, you do watch a lot of like good film, and sometimes I'm very embarrassed because you're posting like I remember like just even talking to you over the years, you're saying like you should watch this stuff. This is the stuff you should be watching, and I'm here watching like movies about fart jokes and like scary movies. That's all I do, and I'm like, man, I'm like a lowbrow guy, you know. And so every now and then, when I want to feel artsy, I'll just like, I'll watch one of those movies you recommend, and I feel so much more enlightened about life.
My family hates when I have to pick the movie.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Because
I mean, so does mine, but that's for other reasons.
other
Because
reasons.
yeah, Rosa hates like horror movies. And I love horror. I'm a genre guy. Like if it's
Yeah, yeah,
fantasy or if it's like horror, like I'm all about it, you know, like
yeah.
um sci-fi not so much, but every now and then I just want to get, brought into something that's very story driven, and that's when I'll watch, something from the Criterion collection or
Yeah.
some of those movies that you like. But do you ever like get down and like say, you know what, like do you have a guilty pleasure? Because I know you don't watch a lot of TV, just time wise or anything, but like there has to be a guilty pleasure. Like, you know what, if someone were to ask you, or if someone you were to say like, yeah, I watched that, and people would be like, no
You know what?
way.
You know what's a guilty pleasure that I watch
Mm.
is like people dying inside videos on YouTube.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, that's the guilty. That's what I'm like. Why am I doing this? And I don't know why. Like I just go down rabbit or what is it, wormholes of like just watching people dying inside or
Yeah.
people getting hurt. I
like
don't
like
know.
like
That
fail army, like fail
what's that?
army.
Yeah, fail army stuff.
Don't worry, you're not alone with that, because okay, you got to remember, I think we're products of America's Funniest Home Videos,
Right,
and
right.
there's only so much you can show on ABC prime time that
Dude,
Fail Army can provide for us. Like, you'll see someone fall on America's Funniest Home Videos, but you won't see someone's arm broken.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
get up and it's just dangling there,
yeah, yeah.
and Fail Army is funny, and it does make you feel better about yourself sometimes. But yeah,
So
I get that.
like, that's the only thing I can think of that I watched that I'm like, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. Like,
Don't
but
be.
but I, yeah, the thing, I mean, the thing is, when I was, I grew up on like horror movies before I even wanted to be an actor. Like,
Yeah.
horror movies were my jam. Like, I lived by, we used to get videos that remember Showtime Video?
Yeah.
That was we occasionally, that was like a treat, and like horror. I just, as a kid, as a boy,
Yeah.
in the 80s, it was like horror was just like, that was such a great, a fun time to be,
Yeah.
to get into that. And but I think when you know, I I'm a theater kid. I came up in the theater, and I have a real reverence for playwrights.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm like. I nerd out about. That's my like geekdom is like
Yeah.
you know in the theater world, and I think when I really kind of started to get into film, the sort of reverence that I had for playwrights kind of sort of transposed onto film
Hmm.
directors,
Yeah.
auteurs, visionaries, and like uh, that's the kind of work that I'm
Is
drawn
there?
to. I like a good, I like, but I just need substance. I think
Yeah.
I have little patience for
Yeah.
uh like frivolous
Well,
things.
would you say, like, was there a director like that that really moved you, that really led you to that moment, mm, like Soderbergh, or like Spielberg, or like, how there's someone who said, like, I saw Scorsese when I was little, and it's like that's the kind of work I want to be doing. It's like
Cassavetes,
any
man.
Cassavetes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like after college, I watched Woman Under the Influence,
Okay.
and that Jenna Rollins, and that was my. I didn't know that acting. It was like to me, it was like rock and roll. It was like Jimi Hendrix. It was like
Hmm.
it was like, what is, just something so uh, um, uh, captivating about her performance, and all the performances in that film, and just that film, and how, and him as a director, and kind of his body of work, and kind of looking at it, and the way what he got actors to do, and like,
Yeah.
and the way he made films, and the way that he kind of took his Hollywood money and put it into these like passion projects that I found really interesting, and that he was doing that. I discovered him obviously way late, but that was, yeah. There's a
Um,
lot of yeah.
did you ever think that you would ever be making the films that you're making?
Uh, um, you mean when?
I mean, at any point in life, like for me, like it was just like an example, like a personal experience. Is like I got into acting late. I was 25 when I got into acting. I was, a young man, and I never ever thought that I could see myself on TV. Or, I am a huge Morgan Freeman fan. I'm a huge Michael Caine fan, and Alan Arkin is a genius. Never once in a million years before 2015, did I ever think that I was going to be on set with all three of those guys for 6 days. You know what I
Uh,
mean? Like for me, okay, just bringing it back around and closer is that I when I graduate, even up to like graduation in 2014, May 22nd, May 23rd, I didn't even know if I was going to get auditions. Like I was going to be like, you know what? I'd be happy if I even was in a casting office. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. Like, did you ever like, cause I remember when we first met, it was kind of like that with you. Like you were, happy that you got blue bloods, but it was still like you were, making some tough life decisions at that point. And so like I always often wondered, like, you've worked with some really cool directors with really cool people. And at some point, like whenever you lay down at night, you're like, wow, is this real? Or like you're leaving set when they say Raul's wrapped and everything's done. You packed up your bag or whatever from the trailer, and then you're on your way, to wherever home is. And you're like thinking to yourself, like, dang, that just happened. That's life.
yeah, no, definitely. There are definitely those pinch me moments,
Yeah.
um, we had I I'm like I don't even know if I can talk about this project. I'm like, can I talk about this?
I
I
mean,
don't
don't.
know.
I mean, don't. I mean, you don't have to. It's just like
I'm thinking because I'm thinking of one right now that I'm like specifically.
just leave it vague. Just say like I was on this one project with this,
Yeah,
that you never
I was on a
thought of.
project recently. It sort of hasn't been announced, but I was working with an actor who's is like a pretty household name, and it's safe to say he's a huge uh, star, and definitely a fan of his work, and he's someone I love watching perform, and someone whose career I kind of admire and respect, and but because of the COVID of it all, we're rehearsing and we're like covered in PPE,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we're doing the thing, and he's really nice because he knows my work from another film, so he was very warm to me. He
Yeah.
was really kind of he was a producer on the film, so he was kind of host. Like he kind of was a bit of a host, and really gracious with me, and we were going for our first take when we're uh, now able to remove our masks.
Yeah.
Finally, because we've been rehearsing with masks on.
Yeah.
In the middle, like it's a scene. It's a quick scene with the two of us. We had, you know, we have like bits of dialogue, whatever, and I have to approach him. We're like the camera's following him, and I have to approach him, and then there's like a over his shoulder on me, whatever. And as I'm getting closer and I'm looking at him, I'm like, that's so because up until that point
Yeah.
we've been covering masks, and it wasn't until we were in the middle of the take that there's his face and that's him.
Yeah.
He's not covering and it was hilarious because I had the thought in the middle of the
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you just got to keep going with that, and make that's just part of it. I mean, you can't deny
Yeah.
that that's an impulse that just arises, and it tickled me, but I didn't let it. I
Yeah.
didn't get in my head about it or anything like that. It was just like there was a bit of it was a bit of joy to it because you're working with someone who you've
Yeah.
watched since you were a young person, and now you get to work with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
I I mean, you handled that a lot better than I did on than going in style. I told you I was on set with those guys for 6 days, and I didn't talk to them or even like say hello for like two. I was right around them every single day until finally there was a moment where they had I mean, it was my first big movie too, and I didn't know who I could talk to. I didn't know where I could I really sit in those fancy chairs, the director chairs, that they have. It says cast. I didn't have my name on it. It just said cast. And there was a moment where I was in the middle of Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, and there's a picture of me, floating around,
Awesome.
and Morgan Freeman's asleep, so he's taking a nap on one side of me, and like Michael Caine's like facing away from me, but he's muttering to himself what's going on in the scene. So like this is their process, and I'm watching these two individuals
Wow.
work a totally different
Legends,
process.
dude, legends.
Yeah, and you know, Alan Arkin comes in and he's playing a ukulele he got from somewhere on set. I don't know where he even got it from because it wasn't even his. It was produced for him. And but I finally opened up, and me and a couple of other the other supporting people there uh
Yeah.
not cornered Michael Caine, but like it was like a you know on like the last day, he was answering any single question we had. That was just, it was almost like a Q&A for us in between setups. And he was talking about how when he worked on Sleuth, that they had the first, I guess, prototype for a steady cam, and they was talking about how big and heavy it was, and then how it was working with Christopher Nolan and how intricate it was, and all these like we could just almost ask anything, and he was pretty open about it.
Oh,
And it was just like four of us fangirling. That's all it was, or fanboy.
oh, man.
It was
Yeah.
one of the coolest experiences ever,
Have you ever
ever.
read his book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I can.
he signed a book. He signed his a copy of that book
Cool.
for one of the background people. She brought it for her daughter, and he was so happy to sign it.
Right on. That's
And
cool.
those old guys had an entourage too. It's like no one under 50 rolling with them. It was
That's
awesome. And they all look like it was one of the coolest things is like they always look like they just woke up from a nap. They literally look
well,
like
dude,
they
they've been
just woke
doing it for so long. Like being
forever.
on set is like, it just becomes your home. Like I would imagine, like especially at that level, like
Yeah.
that's they've known that life more than any. It's like so being on set is like just like getting out of bed. I would imagine. Hey, real
Oh
quick,
yeah.
I just realized my computer might die if I don't go get my
Yeah, go ahead and charge it.
coffee real quick.
I'll do some filler here. So for those of y'all watching or listening, like I said in the beginning, in the opening, uh I met Raul Castillo back in 2011 when I first moved up to New York. We met through a mutual friend. And when I say he's one of the most kind and generous people, that doesn't have to be, but he is. It's the truth. Um, I got to, he invited me to Labyrinth shows and shows at the public, and I got to meet several amazing people who are still my friends today. And it's been an amazing journey watching Raul, go from, the audition. Like it was just a funny story. It's like I really helped him with, I mean, it wasn't like, I don't want to take credit for the job, but, I did help him with that tape for looking, but he did the work years before. And it's one of the things that I constantly say on this podcast, or I tell newbies coming into this industry, is that don't take any experience for granted, because any little small film that you do, any what may seem like a small film might be the thing that opens up the doors for you. And looking was that, like I was talking about, like I'm bringing up the, how I helped you tape for that. I mean, I don't want to take full credit for your career, but I'll take partial. But I always tell people it's one of the
It was
things.
like chemistry, dude. It was they could feel our chemistry.
I was basically, I'm not gonna lie. John Groff has a bigger name.
Right, right,
I
right.
have a prettier face.
It was down to the wire.
That's all it was. That's all it was. And I understand the biz,
Yeah.
like he's been around longer. He has a little bit more footing in this industry, but I mean,
You gave me those
you'd
eyes,
rather
dude.
kiss me than John Groff. You know what I mean? Like, come on, get real. You could put up a poll right now for America to decide, and I'm more kissable than John Groff.
You know?
I'm just kidding. No, he's a sweetheart. But like it was one of the things though. I tell a lot of people, and I use you as the example, especially because you also help me out indirectly too. Is that these smaller, the short films? You never know what they're going to be. Sometimes people shoo them off, or they think, well, it's just a short film, nothing's going to
Mhm.
happen. But Lorimer turned into career changing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And you were doing looking,
Hmm.
and you had to back out of a short film, and you recommended our friend JJ,
Right,
and
right.
another guy backed out of that film. So JJ recommended me, and JJ and I got to work on this beautiful piece
Yeah,
called Quédate
yeah.
by
That's
a
cool.
brilliant director, Bradley
Yeah.
Bixler, and that's what this industry is.
What's he doing now? Huh?
He's working on his first feature.
Dope, dope. That's
And
good.
if you go to his Instagram and look at all of his test footage and like scouting, it's just gonna be a gorgeous film.
Cool, man.
Gorgeous.
Cool.
And like him, and that was the thing that I got to see and witness during that experience, is that I that whole group, because I guess at NYU you have to help your classmates out.
Yeah,
So for one film, you're gonna be the director, and then one of your buddies is going to be the camera person, and then the other person's going to be sound, and like so on and so forth. And then it's going to switch. You're going to switch
yeah,
roles. You're going to be the DP, or or you'll hire an outside DP, or just an AD. There's going to be they work. And all of those people, there's a few people from that crew that already have had international recognition for some of the films that they've done post NYU for their features, for their first
right.
features. And it's going to be really
Yeah,
interesting to keep an eye on Bradley Bixler, and just
yeah, yeah.
like he has a beautiful eye for these things.
Cool.
And that's one of those things like I'm grateful for. And I always tell people, is like, get involved when you can.
Definitely, man.
You really,
Definitely.
because you don't know, everyone's starting at the same place.
Yeah. Rabia Rashid, who is the creator showrunner of Atypical,
Hmm.
did an arc on. Graduated from NYU dramatic writing with our friend Mauro Flores
Yeah.
back when we were all landing in New York and starting out. And she went to LA and became this, a boss, um, literally and figuratively, and created this amazing show. And I got to be a part of that. And that was, you know, that was, it is very much like a relationship, a thing.
Do you think that that's we a lot of people, when they ask you acting questions, I think a lot of people don't realize it's more than auditioning, and it's more about headshots and having the perfect reel. It's also how you behave in the audition room, on sets for these little short films. What I was saying while you're getting the charger was like, you are one of the most kind individuals that doesn't need to be, but you are. Like, you've helped me. Uh, like I would say that you're like a mentor to me. Like, when you brought me, when I went into New York, like, you took me under your wing, and you didn't have to. Like, this random kid, I'm not even a kid. I'm a big little boy, from McAllen, Texas. And you did, and
I was just
I'm
thinking about,
one.
I was talking to a friend, I was thinking about that summer at Central Park when we met.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When you guys introduced yourselves, I remember being excited that there were some Valleyites up in New York, man. That was cool.
And that was awesome, knowing that there are people from the valley in the industry doing these things.
For
And that's
sure.
one of the things that people don't understand. I think in short, it's kind of like this thing that my dad has in his office. He has a sign in his office, and it says, "Life is not like a box of chocolates. It's more like a jar of jalapenos, because what you do today may burn your ass tomorrow." So it's it's really on how you treat people in the or how you just hold yourself in this industry. And I
Yeah,
think that that has helped you out a lot because you just talked about a couple of instances. We just talked about a couple instances where you know you're waiting for other people to come up too, and we're helping each other, and you don't know who's that person. It's like, you know what, I'm going to work with you one day, and they're going to
exactly.
come through in like 4 years. It's like, hey, I told you I had a
Yeah,
project for
yeah,
you. We're ready to go.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You
That's
know,
my
it's
parents, man. My parents were like that. I mean, they just had a real,
mhm.
always had like a hardworking and kind aesthetic. They, just how they regarded people, and I think that's sort of the way that I was raised. I guess
Yeah,
it's sort of the only way I know how to navigate. I mean, it's tricky because it's such a competitive business, and there's like
yeah,
it's a cutthroat business,
yeah,
and um, I think that's or for me, I should say, being from a small town, there was kind of the learning. Even though I thought I was very worldly, like leaving the valley, I like at 18 years old. I thought of myself as very worldly, and quickly came to find out I was, not.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but I think there's been the learning curve of navigating this industry because we're not born into it. We don't have like a
No.
blueprint.
And in the valley, it's just, I mean, I hate to say that we're so far behind, but we are behind in essence comparatively, but we are catching up to, you know, anywhere north of Falfurias. You know what I mean? Like it's just we're a beautiful
The
community.
valley's
And
grown a lot, man. I mean, it's definitely.
man, we were talking before we hit record here is how I was in New York. Rosa and I were in New York for 8 years, and you're talking about food in particular. And there's always taquerias and different restaurants, but coming back, it's so interesting to see the different trendier eating spots. Like
Mm,
there's a
yeah,
place right here down by on 23rd, across the street from Zamora's called Tingi's or Tingi's, and they have birria tacos, and it's like the whole exterior of the building is like Super Mario Brothers painted. You know what I mean? It has like
oh, that's
it's
great.
a really cool spot. They
I
have
love
like
Samoras, by the way, man. Shout out to Samoras.
Zamora's. I had it last night. What?
Dude, I love that place, man.
Me too.
Damn.
Yeah,
Making me sick, man.
yeah, Samora's. We had it last night, and there's just like so many new spots,
I
and
bet, man.
the Valley is also one of those spots that it's. I hate. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's like recession proof. Like just like
Mm,
business and life just continues. I think the one thing that's hurt the Valley the most, like the mall, especially with the pandemic, and then with the last president was we don't have the money from Mexico coming over as much in the last four or
mm,
5 years. They kind of stopped around that. That's how I can backtrack it because it was getting really
right,
tough
that makes sense.
then. But for the most part, man, I see new restaurants opening up throughout the whole pandemic, driving through, 10th Street or anything, like so many new restaurants,
Crazy.
so many new restaurants, so many like how can you open up a restaurant? Like we would always ask ourselves that, like, how during a
Yeah,
pandemic, and then you see it, it's bumping. You know what I mean? Like there's
right.
this they're adapting, their restaurants are creating websites for their restaurants, like in the valley, like restaurants, like old restaurants that never had websites before. They have websites. It sounds like we're not backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's
No,
one
I
of
mean,
the
last time I was there, I noticed that, man. Sort of like there was a lot of new, kind of exciting,
yeah,
culinary things going on back home that were new, that were certainly not the kind of things happening when I was a kid, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's people who I think sometimes you have to leave the valley to appreciate the valley. Does that make sense? Like
Sure.
I left the valley, And I came back, and instead of feeling, I mean, there, especially during the year, during the pandemic, when the industry shut down, I was like, man, I'm never going to work again. I'm done with the film industry, or the film industry's done with me. Woe is me. But then I saw a commercial for one of these lawyers, injury attorneys. They have these extravagant commercials that are just like, they're kind of cheesy, just the concept is cheesy because it's a lawyer who's a hot shot, but the commercial looked freaking amazing.
Mm.
It was beautiful. It looked like a Hollywood movie, like just an amazing
Man,
movie. And all my friends worked on that, and their work, I'm like, you know what? These guys, they need to be working on film. They need to be doing that. And that's what we've been trying to round up. And it's just, there's amazing cinematographers. Like, you look at the talent coming out of here, it's not just actors and writers. There's cinematographers coming
yeah,
out of
yeah,
here. Like
sure.
Rick
Sure.
Diaz just was he's done a few movies that like Brian Banks, The First Girl I Loved, um the new Texas Chainsaw remake, the reboot, it's Two
Uh-huh.
Valley Boys.
Oh wow. Oh damn.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Oh,
director is
cool.
from Harlingen. The DP is from Sherry.
I did not know that.
He graduated a year after me, Rick Diaz.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and it's just, there's so much talent and stuff, and coming back here, it's just seeing that, like seeing that crazy Super Bowl commercial. If you look past, the lawyer, shtick about that, it's like injury attorney. It's beautifully shot. It looks like
Mm,
they put millions of dollars into this commercial. But,
mm,
and it's all these guys I know, is like super
it's awesome.
talented folks. Yeah.
Mm,
So it's interesting. I think the Valley has a lot of potential, and it could potentially be a spot where it could be a hub for shooting movies.
yeah, man. I was supposed to shoot something there.
Hmm.
I think last summer we were supposed to shoot down in Brownsville, but that project has sort of been pushed. It's just, indie film.
Hmm.
And hopefully it's such a great script, and it's a
Yeah.
South Texas writer director. And she's really talented and really has a, I think, really bright
Yeah.
has and she wants to shoot down in Brownsville. Obviously the pandemic is like, sort of put a pause on things, but I think we'll get back up and running with that one hopefully, and I'll be back down there. I would love to. It'd be amazing to shoot something down the valley, man. I would like, yeah.
Would you like to see more of an expansion? Because I know Austin, for the most part, is the hub for film. Austin and Dallas are the hubs for film in Texas. Um, would you like to see or be a part of kind of like a new uh kind of, not a production company, because I don't know if you want to be attached to anything like that, but like, would you like to see that happen, like the Valley be a hot spot
Oh
for a
yeah,
place to shoot?
absolutely.
Because New Orleans is that, Albuquerque's that,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
the cost of living, like everything, like when I was talking to someone else about this,
It'd be amazing.
it's hard to convince people to shoot in the Valley because of what, entertaining or hotels. There's hotels everywhere. There's trendy restaurants anywhere. Like there's,
Yeah,
it's not that bad. It's
yeah.
cheaper. Getting a film permit here is so much easier than
Huh,
most
huh.
places.
Right, right.
It's just, I would, I think that's one of my goals, is to see that happen down here.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't know if I want to spearhead. That's a lot of work. You have to
Yeah,
have like,
yeah,
someone who's really business minded, but I would love to see that down here
yeah, yeah,
because I see the potential.
yeah,
Because it will, well, I mean, like, look how many of y'all have gone out and done stuff.
yeah, yeah.
You've had to
Absolutely.
leave the valley when so much talent is already in the valley.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Be good. I mean, like, I think um, it definitely like would be. I mean, I would love to be able to go down and shoot something at home. I haven't been home I haven't been back to the valley in like, it's been like 2 years.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
which is ridiculous that I haven't been home in that long. But it would be amazing to go get down there to work. That'd be
yeah.
cool. Happen, dude. Make it happen.
I'm gonna make it happen. Don't you worry. I got big plans. Big plans.
Yeah,
Next 5 years, there's gonna be
yeah.
stuff happening down here. Um, Yeah. So you're working on anything right now, or you're just resting it up?
Um, yeah, I'm here. I'm home for now. Just like there's things kind of floating about. I could be uh, leaving next month for a project, but that's sort of up in the
Hmm.
air. I
Yeah.
think with COVID of it all, it's kind of everything's touch and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm just gonna be I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be
Hmm.
for the time being.
That's good. That's good. Have it, so one thing I like to ask actors, and they're always really shy about this, and kind of they get real weird about it. But is there some sort of like dream role, or if it's not a role, a particular type of role that you would like to take on? Like it, for instance, like I think there's some people when they're asked that they'll like right away say, I would love to play Wolverine. That would be like the goal I want to play. Or would it be like, some people would say, oh, I would love to be in a Marvel film. You know what I mean? Like, is there something, you didn't have to be like that, but is there anything like that?
I mean, there isn't, only because I don't know what, like, I mean, there's like when I read something, it's such a weird mix of things that get me excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to learn that I do my best work when I'm committed to the project as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
When 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 I'm excited about the character, when I'm excited about the people telling the story, if I'm excited about the story that's being told and for it to be out in the world, like, then I know that if all that lines up, and if my whole being goes into the project, into creating this character. And so it's hard to say like any kind of superficial thing that would excite me, or like, cause I never know until I'm reading the thing,
Yeah.
until I'm like, and then and I'm always surprised by by you know uh, what is the thing, because it's always a different thing that gets me excited, or
Yeah.
yeah, I never know. Yeah, I don't know.
But you wouldn't, like I said, like a genre film. Like we just talked about, Two Valley Boys rebooted Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who redid the Town That Dreaded Sundown, like something like from the '80s that you grew up with. Like if there was a reboot, you know how reboots, there's a toss of a coin. They can be really good, or they can
Wait, now
they
it
can
has to
show.
be a reboot.
Well, I mean, yes, in this instance, in this case, yes. It has to be a reboot from the '80s.
I can't. I don't even know. I
I would
can't.
do Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, or The Fog. Redo, because I saw the one with Tom Welling.
uh,
Love Tom Welling.
I
I
can't
love him.
remake. I'm like, remakes are kind of like, I'm more interested in original
Okay.
concepts these
So,
days. I think there's too much,
so,
you know.
so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna
uh,
I'm gonna secure financing for this remake I'm making, and I'm gonna say, hey, this is perfect for you.
right on.
So be ready, and you're
For
gonna have
the
to say yes.
Halloween.
Yeah, for Halloween 3, it's gonna be
Awesome.
Season of the Bruja. It's gonna be based in like Laredo. Like, did you watch? Oh, you haven't seen it, La Llorona.
Is it a Guatemalan film?
Yeah, the one on Shutter.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
I had to say, I put off watching that movie because of a previous Llorona film that was, I mean, this is our culture. This is like a story we grew up with. This is something that I just, you know, you know how people when they read like Harry Potter and the movies aren't the same as the books, like they get really, up in
Yeah,
arms
yeah.
about. So, well, that didn't happen in the book. Well, I was like that with that other film, and I love the actors that were in that other film, but it just didn't hit it for me. And I was very cautious about this newer one. And then I saw it was nominated for a Golden Globe, and now it's shortlisted for an Academy Award.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, so I had to watch it, and I did. And they,
Yeah, I've
they
heard good things
it,
about it.
it, it was just the twist, not a twist, but their take on it made a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up the main actor, the old man that plays the general,
Mm-hmm.
and his IMDb is just this one movie, and he
Mm-hmm.
was great in this movie. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
was great in this movie. Everyone.
Cool.
And you know, it has the indigenous, like, you know, they had indigenous actors, and
Mm-hmm.
they were brilliant. Everybody was brilliant in this film, and that's one of
Mm-hmm.
those movies that kind of just like creep up where, you know, sometimes you just don't know. Like, do you ever feel that sometimes with movies? Like, you're taking on a project, it's kind of like, man, this could be hit or miss.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
well,
Uh, I think that's always like right. That's always
yeah,
the
because like how, I mean, you know, there's been times where, you know, a movie should have been a home run and it wasn't. You know, like
right.
The Man in the Iron Mask. We had Leo DiCaprio and John Malkovich, two amazing actors, and that movie was could have been a little,
I haven't
you know,
revisited that.
stronger. It could have been a little stronger, and I love both those guys.
Of course.
And you know, it's just there's so many things out of our control.
Uh, I just watched rewatched Shutter Island the other night.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay, dude.
It's
So
one of those movies that they stay true to the book. I just talk about this like, oh, they stay true to the book. They really did. They really did.
hell yeah, so
Dennis
good.
Lehane, like Dennis Lehane, he's the same author from Gone Baby Gone.
Right, 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 right.
And oh, man, so
Great
good.
movie. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
like, you did this to me. You did Jackie Earl Haley, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
good.
you did this to
He
me.
was so good, man. I remember that performance was like sort of thrust him back into the spotlight.
Yeah, because he was Kelly from the Bad News Bears.
Right, right, right. He was so great in that. He was awesome in Bad News Bears. I loved him in that movie
Yep.
when I was a kid, man. He didn't feel like an actor. He felt like
Yeah.
or even then he was like this kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. That he was good, and then he was also in The Watchmen.
That's right.
He was so good in that. The whole jail scene. Like, if you haven't watched The Watchmen, the whole jail scene where they're trying to get him because he put most of those guys in jail, so they're trying to get, you
Uh,
know, revenge on him, but he's just too much of a badass.
totally.
But yeah, well, you know what? I think this has been a terrific opportunity for the both
Awesome,
of
man.
us to catch up, and
Yeah, dude.
this is
I
gonna
had to
be
do the podcast in order to get you out of dad life for
yeah,
6 minutes.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
this. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably gonna bump you into A-list status. So get ready. You know, shine up your shoes. You're gonna be invited to the
Yeah,
ball.
YouTube fame.
Yeah,
Go
I'm telling you, I'm the Joe Rogan of South Texas.
for it.
It's on, I'm catching up to him though, but I do thank you. Little Fish, where can we watch it?
It's streaming now, and it's select theaters around the country.
Yeah.
If anyone's going out to theaters these days, but yeah, it's streaming. We can find it online. I'm really, really proud of it. Chad Hartigan, the director, is really talented, and
Yeah.
he's made a couple great movies before this one, and I think he really knocked it out of the park. It's got Olivia Cook and Jack O'Connell,
Hmm.
French singer Soko, myself. It's definitely speaking of genre, it's a genre film, but there's at the heart of it, it's a love story.
Amazing.
There's a bit of those two things going on, and it's a film about a pandemic, so it's pretty timely.
Yeah.
I would say so. Definitely for the people who are listening, I
Yeah.
I hope they'll be watching.
They will. They will.
Cool.
Trust me. Where can we find you on social media?
That's right.
What
On Instagram. I'm on Instagram.
on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
Well, I mean, who isn't?
Right, right.
I think you got to be these days. That's where you get all your news.
It is what it
Oh, that's
is.
Facebook. Facebook is where like a lot of old people get news.
I left Facebook a while back.
I only keep Facebook just because of history between me and my wife. That's why I asked her to be my friend. Now we're married.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
That's a good version of that story.
Oh yeah, yeah. I asked her to. I told her, and I think she printed it out. The conversation was, "Hey, Rosa, I think you'd be a lot cooler if you accepted my friendship on Facebook."
Yeah, I think my sister has a similar story about
Yeah,
so I think she joined Facebook just to keep in touch with my brother-in-law, my future brother at the time.
I'm telling you.
Brother-in-law. Yeah.
There you
That's
go. It
Facebook.
works. It works. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg.
No,
That's the
God,
only thing I can thank him for is my marriage.
awesome, awesome.
All right, everybody. You can always follow the podcast at on Instagram because I don't do Facebook either. At Jorge's Isolation Podcast. Follow the YouTube channel. It's Jorge Chapa. You can see my beautiful face on the little icon there on YouTube. Subscribe, like, write down some nice comments. You can watch or listen to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. I'm on iHeartRadio and everything else where you like to listen to podcasts. Uh, just listen to it. This is a great conversation, great person. We'll have Raul back in a year from now, and he'll tell us how his life has changed dramatically from just this conversation alone in a positive way. Totally
Yeah,
positive.
man.
All right, man. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks
Be
for having
safe
me.
and be kind to one another. Bye.